I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News, the headlines. Farmers in CHILANGA district protest over FISP. SIAVONGA fisherman involved in the death of 6 SDA youths slapped with 1-year jail sentence. ZULAWU disappointed with the recruitment of local government officials. And in international news, East Asia Summit leaders conclude meeting without agreement. And in sports, all African squads for the FIFA World Cup in Qatar named. Join me with the details after this commercial.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, SIAVONGA is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. SIAVONGA Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think SIAVONGA Farms.
Join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Professor Monkumba.
Because then there was a transformation from the command economy to the free markets, and it was sweeping across the world, and everybody was swept along.
And Mr. Smata.
The decisions they make, the time they take to make those decisions affects the economy.
This Monday, 14th November 2022, on National Matters, topic of discussion, the role of banks in a developing nation.
And other main news in detail. A 35-year-old mental patient of Lusaka's Kanyama compound has finally been admitted at Chinama Hills Hospital after being housebound for 13 years. Nawani Siota has for the past 13 years been depending on his mother for his support, including bathing him, as his mental illness has left him unable to conduct daily activities. The patient has also been registered under the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities and has been given a disability card, which will see him being put on the social cash transfer program.
It has been a long journey of 13 years for 35-year-old Namwani Siwoto of Kanyama compound in Lusaka, as he has been housebound for the said number of years due to a mental illness. Living below the poverty line and dependent on her charcoal and porridge powder business, his mother, 65-year-old Namangola Siwoto, a widow with 9 children, says life has not been easy for her as a widow and the mother of a person with a mental disability, stating that he even depends on her for basic activities such as bathing. While the family visited Chinama Hills Hospital in 2009 stating that they did not get the help they required, it has been discovered by this reporter that he was never admitted as they went to the wrong department due to a lack of knowledge, leaving him without help from 2009 to date. Camnet News has been carrying the story of the said man who developed a mental illness after a headache in 2009 before writing his grade 9 examinations and has been getting progressively worse over the years to the point of losing his speech as well as eyesight in one eye after he was beaten up by non-people while he was wandering about. After learning about the situation and how vulnerable the family is, the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities ZAPID came on board to register him as a person with a mental disability and issued him a disability card. The agency further assisted in transporting the patient from his home to Chinama Hills Hospital, where he has finally been admitted on 14th November 2022.
It's a bit different with the common ones that are there. So we're going to query for selective mutism, which is a condition where it's an anxiety condition, an anxiety disorder, where somebody has a problem to talk to people they don't know, to talk to strangers, but in their comfort zone, when they are talking to their family, they'll be able to talk here and there. It's extreme, so that's why we're going to admit him so that we can investigate his condition further.
The disability card comes with many opportunities, such as being placed on the social cash transfer program to be receiving an amount of 800 kwacha per month. We will continue to monitor his situation, but for now, all is well after 13 years of being housebound. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Representatives of over 70 new cooperatives in CHILANGA district of Lusaka province have staged a protest after being provided with only 5 packs of farming inputs per cooperative, which has about 70 members under the Farmer Input Support Program FISP. As speaking to Camnet News, the aggrieved farmers say the packages will amount to nothing as they are being made to share fertilizer in small bowls, and has since urged the Ministry of Agriculture to step in and address the challenges. Meanwhile, in a phone interview, CHILANGA District Commissioner David Sheleni says the process of wearing off old cooperatives is still ongoing, which has resulted in the current situation of new cooperatives not receiving all the inputs.
The rain season is on, and farmers are already preparing their fields, with others already planting in preparation for the 2022-2023 farming season. These farmers of CHILANGA district under the Farmer Input Support Program FISP have however protested the giving of 5 packages to each cooperative consisting 70 members, stating that this will not cater for all the members. Speaking to Camnet News, the farmers explained that the over 20 affected cooperatives are new as they were formed in 2021, while all members of old cooperatives have received a package each.
So, apa ife kuno tuliwo dandauka and minister tufuna ba minister and whatever bavere ero tu muwapelekele na vamene hivi ati this is 3 cooperatives vamene bali bakumudwa maningi na vititiko va pansi kwazi mukamba kuti ati vamene ungatenge muntu asebenzera pali cha chintu then umuze zitite check weka vila vintu ndine wa mudako then nitane banati titani verify mazina yada nitenge kamprofesa abwere pada beka tuambozi secha kodi tungazi secha no kulula ku bantu
ife niganiza kanizolanga nikuti badako maybe they are against the government program 5 packs they gavana branch ine nikaribe kutenga hapo sagoro imosi ya fertilizer since so hapa inali laki ya kuti napengena mu cooperative nizatenga saga ya kuti zoona vana vanga vazapeza chakudya koma vana vanga manja hapa vangenera watu ni njala vamene vatiletela njala ni vandani ni CHILANGA office of DACO.
Pamene tafika ku CHILANGA mukabauza badako kuti badako mverani awe kuti yanka mawe amene batiyanka se atikondweresa sibanga tipase ma 5 packs titizapeleka kuti lero ine bantu banga ni wambiri tili 45 banipase 5 packs nizapasa bandani kulibe bamene nizapasa.
Meanwhile, CHILANGA District Commissioner David Sheleni explains that while all members of old cooperatives have been given as the process of winning them off is still on, the new ones have not received the full package due to the process.
They may be protesting because to them, what they think was that everybody in the cooperative, if they were, for example, these ones who were formed who are new cooperatives, they really do not even understand what is involved because they were just formed last year and this year now they are applying, they are expecting to be given, to be put on FISP program, which they don't understand very well. And what they think is that all the cooperatives should be, all the members in the cooperative should be given. It's not possible, okay, because the packs will not be, it's not possible to give everybody. However, we are looking at the membership of the cooperative. The more the members in the cooperative, they will be given slightly more packs than those cooperatives that have less membership.
He has advised all aggrieved parties to visit his office to be updated on the FISP guidelines. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
Some enumerators and supervisors who took part in the 2022 census of population and housing and have not been fully paid their allowances have protested, demanding that they be paid their dues. Some of the affected Monday marched to the Lusaka Statistical Agency office in Lusaka, trying to get answers as to why their dues have not been fully paid, despite having delivered the work they were hired to do. Meanwhile, Zamstat's interim statistician, General Mlenga Msepa, when contacted for a comment, told Camnet News that the agency is working at ensuring that all those who were contracted are paid, but the lacunas have been observed in most of those who have not yet been cleared their dues.
Not even heavy rains experienced in the morning of Monday, 14th November 2022 could stop these former enumerators and supervisors who took part in the 2022 census of housing and population from registering their displeasure at the Zambia Statistical Agency offices over non-payment of their allowances. Some of these enumerators have traveled miles from different parts of the country and have represented those who could not afford to travel due to various challenges. The enumerators have since complained that they have not received their payments in full despite having completed the work some 2 months ago.
I've been accused of losing the gadgets that we are using by the time we are enumerating in the field, of which we didn't even lose some of our gadgets. We hand over all the gadgets to our supervisors, and then we don't know what happened. If our DIT, they lose the gadgets and then put a blame on us. So we want the GCC, our zone coordinator, and our DIT to help us in this case.
They are saying out of those people who were omitted on the workshop allowance, only 94 people were paid because their names were appearing on the bank statement. Now, how is it possible that your name cannot appear on the bank statement when you got these other allowances? I got the 60% and I got the 40%. How come now on the training allowance, my name is not appearing on the bank statement?
Told our accounts, whenever they credit it, the money is bouncing back. So now, over that issue, we tried to find out from our DCC. We communicated with him. He told us to say, no, the accounts is still working on the issue. I made some efforts to visit our bank, which is FNB, the headquarters. I was told everything is okay with your account. There's nothing which is wrong with your account. I got back to my DCC. I called him, of which on the issue of calling him, it has not been easy for him to pick up our calls. Whenever we call him, he has not been picking up our calls. But
they have since called on the Zambia Statistical Agency to quickly look into their cases and see how best they can be paid their dues in the shortest possible time, adding that they have accumulated a lot of debt in the process of waiting.
We need money to pay for those people, but we are not having that opportunity. And they are saying youth empowerment. Now, if they talk about youth empowerment, they should be looking on the time which they should give us money. You see, it has been 2 months now. So if they say youth empowerment, me, I've got a lot of credits right now. I don't know if I'll be killed, I don't know. But because of them, so I am appealing, let them just give us our money.
For my case, I've not gotten paid from the 2022 census versus program. I haven't got my allowance, I haven't got my 40%, I haven't also got my 60%. Reasons best known from the Zamstat offices. So I'm appealing to the able bosses, please, I need my money, I need to use it.
On the delayment, they're also delaying our programs. What are they thinking of us? They used us as their workers, of which we need to get our payment. This culture, it has continued in Zambia, having such type of problems, whereby the government will come up with a program, people work, but they'll still have issues with payment.
And Zamstat interim statistician General Mlenga Msepa, when contacted for a comment, explained that some enumerators and supervisors affected have issues ranging from not returning back the gadgets to wrong account numbers and short codes, while for others, the agency has observed some dubious transactions which it is trying to investigate.
That has been done. One of the things is that you see, all in all, we've made the payments to all the districts. So it depends case by case basis. Some of them didn't bring back tablets. That's one of the cases. Some of them have been claiming they have not been paid. But when we ask the banks, like the statement, you find that they are not there amongst rejected payments. Like it's about 106. And that requires investigation.
For now, one only hopes that the challenges will be quickly resolved and those who deserve their pay will be paid in the shortest possible time. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission (CCPC) has cautioned all consumers participating in this year's Black Friday Grand Sale to be alert of false or misleading sales promotion. CCPC Public Relations Officer Renford Mutabi says the Commission is alive to the fact that while these events present consumers with huge price discounts, some businesses may use fake or sell promotions to create an illusion of a reduced price with intent to attract and cause unsuspecting consumers to buy their goods or services. Mr. Mutabi has since urged all consumers to keep all relevant documents such as receipts, warrants and guarantees safe, as these are required by the Commission for the initiation of investigations, especially in an event where a consumer is denied redress or treated unfairly. Black Friday sales will take place this Friday, 25th November 2022.
As we may all be aware that the Black Friday event is around the corner, and to all consumers that are participating in this year's Black Friday event, we would like to caution them to be alert of false or misleading sales promotions. As CCPC, we are left to the fact that this event presents consumers with huge price discounts. But at the same time, some businesses may use fake or misleading sales promotions just to create an illusion of a special reduced price with intent to attract and coerce unsuspecting consumers to buy their goods and services. Therefore, consumers are urged to consider shopping around for best deals and track prices leading up to Black Friday in order to make an informed decision before purchasing any product or accessing a service. Consumers are also encouraged to keep all relevant documentation such as receipts, warrants and guarantees safe, as these may be required by ourselves for initiation of investigations, especially in an event where a consumer is denied redress or treated unfairly.
The Zambia United Local Authorities Workers Union ZULAWU has expressed disappointment at the outcome of the just-ended recruitment by the Local Government Service Commission. ZULAWU President Emmanuel Mwensa says the recruitment has sidelined qualified and experienced serving local government employees who were supposed to have been promoted to the various positions before new entrants can be brought on board. Mr. Mwensa further notes that qualified employees have been made to act for many years in various positions, but that they have been now reduced to lower positions and will have to report to new personnel who do not even have any experience working in the local government service. Meanwhile, ZULAWU General Secretary Mulenga Machushi has henceforth advised the Commission to ensure that it engages the union in all the activities it wishes to undertake concerning its members.
10th November 2022, the Local Government Service Commission published the list of about 9,000 successful candidates to fill up various job vacancies in the local government service. However, the Zambia United Local Authorities Workers Union ZULAWU has expressed its disappointment at the outcome of the recruitment, which they say has sidelined a number of qualified and experienced serving local government employees who were supposed to have been elevated to various positions before new entrants can be brought on board. ZULAWU President Emmanuel Mwensa told the media at a briefing in Lusaka Monday that despite engaging the Commission on the need to follow the submissions that were made to it by the unions, the Commission decided to ignore the submissions.
85% of those that have been recruited are those that are coming outside. So we are talking of 85% coming into the system as new entrants. People who do not have much of experience. So you can see that we are going to have a very ineffective system in terms of service delivery, work performance.
Mr. Mwinsa further adds that the Commission should stop working in isolation whenever it is making decisions that affect their members, but that it should, going forward, consider engaging different unions in the decisions being made.
What is the message that we are sending in many of the activities of the Commission, external activities? We are emphasizing that there is need to incorporate the union whenever they are out in the field. Otherwise, we've got the right to reject some of the engagements they do with our members. Because as a stakeholder, if we have not gotten the idea and we are not convinced, how do we support? It will be very difficult for us to support such programs. So our emphasis is the operations of the Commission, let it be an inclusive operation in terms of many stakeholders in the local government system.
Meanwhile, ZULAWU General Secretary Mulenga Muchishi could not hide his displeasure and has advised the government going forward to ensure that all those who have been recruited undertake some training on the operations of the local government service.
I'll refer to the recruitment in the teaching service. You did not hear of positions of head of department, senior teacher being advertised. Even in the health, senior positions were not advertised. What they recruited is the entry. And that's what we requested. Those recommendations that have been sitting before the Commission for quite some time should have been considered. And then they advertise the positions. We feel as a union that on this issue the Commission could have done better. They should have taken their time and they should have taken the advice of stakeholders.
To ensure that these officers who have recently been recruited are well monitored in terms of work performance, well appraised, and also in terms of orientation, they should be properly oriented through the Local Government Training Institute, the Chalimbana Local Government Training Institute.
For now, one only hopes that those who have been employed will live up to the expectation of the people they will serve. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, United Party for National Development UPND councillors in Kafue district have called for redress on the 90-day suspension of the entire Kafue Council, which was instituted by Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Gary Nkombo on the 3rd of November 2022. Speaking to Camnet News, Kabweza Ward Councillor in Kafue District, Justin Singoi, who was in the company of other UPND councillors, has charged that no councillor was engaged prior to the suspension, meaning that they did not give their views. They have further stated that investigations should have been carried out to ensure that only those involved were suspended. Violence characterized a solidarity march held in support of embattled Kafue Town Council Chairperson Bumba Malambo on 3rd November 2022 after she was accused of selling land, among other illegalities.
We wish to make the following observation. 1. No councillor of Kafue Town Council was involved in the plan and or execution of the demonstration which occurred on Monday 31st October 2022 from Kafue Town Council to Civic Center, Kafue Estate. Number 2, the majority of the councillors of Kafue Town Council were not involved in any way of the protest which was organized by the specific councillors from their homes to the Civic Center. Number 3, there was no meeting prior to the suspension at which the councillors could have been given an opportunity to be heard. Number 4, there is need to understand that councillors are governed by the standing orders and code of ethics spelled in the relevant provision of the Local Government Act number 2 of 2019, and that councillors satisfy the provision and carried out their duties diligently. Number 5, further, the Minister acted without reference to the Code of Ethics and Standing Order and did not cite any relevant provision of the Act which were violated by the councillors of Kafue Town Council. Number 7, further, the Minister chooses to suspend the entire entire Kafue Town Council instead of the non-specific councillors who organized participated in the protest which resulted in bloodshed on the 3rd of November 2022.
The Foundation for Democratic Process, FODEP, says the United Party for National Development, UPND, should ensure that the expanded civic space and the enhanced rule of law that it promoted upon coming into office in August 2021 is maintained to see Zambia's democracy grow. In an interview, FODEP Executive Director Elijah Rubuto notes that while various administrations have committed to enhancing democracy in the country, inconsistency has been causing drawbacks to the achievements made. He has, however, commended the UPND for its commitment in enhancing democracy so far since coming into power, urging them to maintain on the route of tolerating divergent views.
Over the years, I think recently in relative terms, I know maybe we are looking at our assessment of the current period where we've entered into a different regime under the new Dawn government. There have been, over the past 1 year, there have been quite some notable improvements in terms of the civic space. A lot of stakeholders have spoken about the civic space that was quite restrictive in the previous period, 2020, 2022, leading to 2021, caused by different situations, including COVID, but more so the restrictive application of the public order legislations, and also the lack of granting freedoms by the authorities that were in power then.
Acting Chief Justice Michael Msonda has emphasized the need for stakeholders involved in the administration of child justice to be knowledgeable about child rights and what is appropriate to their well-being. Speaking during the launch of the Child Justice Week 2022, Justice Msonda explains that this implies legal empowerment of children and access to justice mechanisms and remedies that are child-sensitive. Meanwhile, speaking at the same event, the Ministry of Community Development says the enactment of the Children's Code Act No. 12 of 2022 has provisions aimed at enhancing protection of children within the country and beyond.
Approximately 261,000 children globally are held in detention according to the second UNICEF report, estimating the number of children deprived of their liberty in administration of justice is the first such analysis in more than a decade, and warns that incomplete record keeping and undeveloped administrative data systems in many countries means the number is likely to be much higher. UNICEF calls for government and other stakeholders to reimagine justice to safely end the detention of all children. The organization Chief Child Protection was speaking during the launch of the Child Justice Week 2022. The event is commemorated during the course of a 5-day period from the 14th and 18th of November. This year's Child Justice Week is themed Introducing the Children's Code Act No. 12 of 2022, a revolutionary rights-based and restorative child justice system.
We've got international standards in this area and saying, well, this is the international guidance coming from the United Nations that should be considered. I can say this was not easy. Influencing this legislation is not easy, and that's a sign to what extent Zambia, the government, all three branches of the government, take legislative shaping seriously, and that's the way it should be.
Speaking during the same event, the Ministry of Community Development says the ministry is focused on protecting and promoting the rights of children and improving their well-being.
That took part in the consultative process of this act. I also wish to pay special tribute to the Child Justice Forum for working towards the launch of Child Justice Week that will be filled with activities surrounding sensitization of the public on the Children's Court Act.
The judiciary also spoke of the needs to have child-friendly courts and reform centers.
This year is particularly notable and will go down in the history books of this country as a very, very crucial day as far as the rights of the child are concerned. And as Ms. Braddock and the Darling Child family already indicated, this year witnessed a landmark enactment in the life of the child through the passing of the Children's Court Act number 12 of 2022, which in fact...
The enactment of the Children's Court Act number 12 of 2022 has presented an opportunity for the transformation of the child justice system in line with the Sustainable Development Goal 16 and the international and regional human rights standards. Zambia's child justice system is charged with providing programs for children, criminal prevention, supervision, care, and psychosocial support and rehabilitation. This is done with a view to provide a balanced attention to the protection of the children both in contact and in conflict with the law, keeping the community safe, holding the juveniles accountable for the offense committed, offering support to children victims and witnesses when exposed to the justice system, and promoting rehabilitation and community reintegration to enable children become responsible citizens and productive members of their communities. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We'll take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Professor Munkumba.
Because then there was a transformation from the command economy to the free markets, and it was sweeping across the world, and everybody was swept along.
And Mr. Smata,
the decisions they make, the time they take to make those decisions affects the economy.
This Monday, 14th November 2022, on National Matters, topic of discussion: the role of banks in a developing nation.
Coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the rest of the main news. The Lusaka High Court has sentenced a fisherman who caused the death of 6 Seventh-day Adventist youths earlier this year at Lake Kariba to 1 year imprisonment with hard labor. The court has, however, discharged 2 of his colleagues, Osborne Mambo and Tyson Hachiyako, as nothing was connecting them to the offense. This was in a case in which coxswain Jonathan Hajaya, Osborne Mambo and Tyson Hachiyako were charged with manslaughter. The convict caused the death of 6 victims who drowned on Lake Kariba after they jumped off their fishing rig, which they were in charge of.
He will have to spend 12 months behind the freezing prison of Lusaka. A fisherman from SIAVONGA who was accused of causing the death of 6 Seventh-day Adventist youths earlier this year has been found guilty and sentenced to 1 year imprisonment with hard labor by the Lusaka High Court. Jonathan Hajaya, Osborne Mambo and Tyson Hachiyako were facing charges of manslaughter, accused of being behind the death of the 6 youths who drowned in the Lake Kariba on the 1st of January 2022 after they jumped off the fishing rig which Hajaya was in charge of. The court has, however, discharged Osborne Mambo and Tyson Hachiyako as the prosecution failed to prove that indeed the said accused person were connected to the alleged offense. Mr. Hajaya, the convict, in his earlier testimony before court, he had explained that on the material day he found more than 30 youths on his coxswain who were busy doing somersault. However, since he wanted to go fishing with 2 other persons, he advised the youths to leave, adding that when he left the place, he ensured that all the youths had left, but to his shock, he later received a call where he was informed that among the youths, 7 were missing. However, the court in its judgment has found that there was negligence on his part, thus slapping him with a 1 year sentence in each of the 6 counts of manslaughter to run concurrently, meaning he will only spend 1 year in prison. The 6 youths are Goodson Hamaila, Rodwell Chileshe, Ronald Liwuku, Zebron Shikambo, Niza Muchiliba, and Alan Mwanga of Lusaka. One of the witnesses, Collins Chileshe, 21, whose elder brother Rodwell was among the 6 victims who drowned, had earlier testified that the coxswain of a fishing rig continued to sail into the deep waters of the Lake Kariba despite people panicking and jumping off. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has heard the 33-year-old army officer, Nigomwawa, who is accused of murdering his girlfriend, renowned Dr. Tasila Tembo, appeared indifferent and did not express any remorse over the death of his lover during a medical examination conducted on him. Consultant psychiatrist from China Hills Hospital, Dr. Patrick Msoni, has told court that the accused suffered from a borderline personality disorder which was triggered by environmental factors. According to Dr. Msoni, a borderline personality disorder is a mental abnormal pattern of behavior which is not consonant with cultural and society norms. This is in a matter in which Mwaba is accused of murdering his girlfriend Dr. Tembo between 24th and 26th of October 2020 after she decided to end their relationship.
Almost a year since the Lusaka High Court commenced hearing his murder case, where he is accused of killing his girlfriend, renowned Dr. Tasila Tembo, Zambia Army officer Niger Mwaba has opened his defense. During the previous court session, the court found him with a case to answer. The first witness called to testify in his favor, Dr. Patrick Musoni, a consultant psychiatric from Chinama Hills Hospital, has told the court that Mwaba suffered from a borderline personality disorder. The witness conducted a medical examination of the accused and discovered that his borderline personality disorder was triggered by environmental factors. According to Dr. Musoni, borderline personality disorder is a mental abnormal pattern of behavior which is consonant with cultural and society norms. He explains that characteristics of this condition are that the patient usually have unstable but intensive relationships, anger, impulsiveness, and usually go against the natural law. The causes can be outlined as environmental or genetic. This is in a matter in which Lieutenant Mwaba stands charged with 1 count of murder, contrary to Section 200 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. This horrific murder case, described as a passion of crime, is said to have occurred between October 24th and 26, 2020, when the 33-year-old accused allegedly killed his girlfriend, Dr. Tembo, after she decided to end their relationship. Further testimony by Dr. Musoni is that during the examination interview, the accused appeared to be indifferent and did not express any remorse over the death of his lover, a character of borderline personality. Adding that the accused's condition is both genetic and environmental, which started in his childhood, where mood swings in adjustment or anger were experienced. However, there is no specific treatment but long-term psychotherapy. Dr. Tembo's body was discovered in a decomposed state covered with leaves and was partially buried at the traditional burial site in Nikang Army Training Center in Mikang Barracks area. Miriam Kaiba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Zambia Congress of Trade Unions ZCTU Election Commission, working with the Ministry of Labour, has conducted nominations for those who aspire to serve on the board of ZCTU. Labour Commissioner Givens Mtengwa says his ministry has been engaged in the process in accordance with the provision of the law and to ensure that no one is sidelined from taking part in the process regardless of their status. Mr. Mtengwa says the final elections of those to form part of the ZCTU board will be held at its annual general meeting in Livingston on the 15th of December 2022. The Commissioner has since advised all those who have expressed interest in the process to ensure that they stay away from any corruption activities, as such will attract disqualifications.
Specifically for this meeting, we are here to see to it that the processes under ZCTU Constitution are followed and that candidates are not disadvantaged. As you know, unions must have the liberty to exercise the freedom to elect their officials in the manner that the law guides. So there are two processes here. Firstly, after they satisfy the conditions or requirements under their constitution, they will then have to comply with SI number 23 by submitting those nominations to our office so that they meet the requirements of the law. So ultimately we are not here to choose candidates for the union because we don't have those powers, but rather we are providing an oversight role, firstly and foremost, because the voters who vote for these candidates will be present in Livingston. That's where the delegates will be on the 15th of December 2022.
International and sports news coming through right after these commercials.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti for your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance. but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Professor Munkumba.
Because then there was a transformation from the command economy to the free markets, and it was sweeping across the world, and everybody was swept along.
And Mr. Smata,
the decisions they make, the time they take to make those decisions affects the economy.
This Monday, 14th November 2022, on National Matters, topic of discussion, the role of banks in a developing nation.
Welcome back. Getting into international news. The East Asia Summit has wrapped up in Cambodia without a final joint statement. Leaders left Phnom Penh divided on Saturday, still unable to agree on wording about the war in Ukraine. Here's a roundup of international news.
In northern Kenya, drought-stricken cattle herders are digging wells under dried-out riverbeds to extract water to keep their emaciated animals hydrated. Many animals have died, with one herder losing at least 30 in just 2 weeks. Charity group Mercy Cause is warning the lack of water could soon become a source of conflict between pastoralist communities.
We have two communities which are usually warring and fighting each other. These are Borana and Samburus. They are sharing this resource, not because they like it, it's because they have no otherwise. They have no otherwise. There's no water, and this is the only place with water.
The United Nations Water Agency estimates that roughly 400 million people across Africa lack access to clean water. However, British Charity Water Aid and British Geological Survey found that Africa has enough groundwater for most countries to get through at least 5 years of drought.
Groundwater is probably the biggest reserve of water in Africa, probably by a factor of about 100 to 1 over surface water. And generally speaking, Africa is under-exploiting groundwater compared to other continents. So there are several continents around the world where they have chronic sustainability issues around groundwater, but Africa, generally speaking, is not there.
Only 3% of the total cultivated land in sub-Saharan Africa is irrigated, according to the UN. While groundwater accounts for 99% of all running fresh water on Earth, it's often undervalued, mismanaged and overexploited, according to UNESCO.
UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres on a tour of the Khmer Rouge's notorious prison, Tol Sleng. Under its brutal regime, an estimated 20,000 people were imprisoned here. Only 12 survived.
The memory of these genocides must be preserved to avoid similar situations to happen in the future, wherever in the world.
On the other side of Phnom Penh, however, little agreement at the conclusion of the East Asian Summit. The United States, here to strengthen ties in the Indo-Pacific region, had pushed for condemnation of the war in Ukraine. For others, that wasn't an option.
No collective decisions were made today because the United States and Western colleagues insisted on absolutely unacceptable language regarding the situation in and around Ukraine.
As the meeting concluded, the honorary gavel and the chairmanship of ASEAN was handed over. The new chairman, the President of Indonesia, has conceded it'll be a challenging year ahead in the light of increasing global conflict.
ASEAN must be a dignified region, uphold the values of humanity and democracy. ASEAN should not let current geopolitical dynamic turn into a new Cold War in our region.
All eyes will now turn to Bali, where the presidents of China and the US are due to meet on Monday. The White House has played down expectations, although Joe Biden says he hopes for a frank and honest discussion with his counterpart.
I know Xi Jinping. I spent more time with any other world leader. I know him well. He knows me. There's no, we have very little misunderstanding. We just got to figure out where the red lines are, what are the most important things to each of us.
Final handshakes and farewells, but still a while before many of these leaders head for home. Storm clouds rolling in over Phnom Penh at the end of the ASEAN summit. With the diplomatic volleys fired here over the weekend, just the first in a week of international diplomacy that will now move on to Bali and Bangkok, and hopefully some resolution yet to come. Tony Cheng, Al Jazeera, Phnom Penh.
Let's take a look at what we have in our sports item. The second international friendly match between Zambia and Colombia has been given a new kickoff time of midnight on Tuesday, 15th November 2022. According to a notice of change of fixture by the Colombian Football Federation, the match that was initially supposed to be played at 02:30 will be played earlier at the Pasco Guerrero Stadium west of Gali. In the first ever match between the two sides on Saturday, Mera Ramirez struck from close range in the 60th minute to give the hosts a 1-0 victory at the Pasco Guerrero. Copper Queens coach Bruce Mwape believes his side put in their best performance and makes them in strong position to grind out a win on Tuesday. In another sports item, at last, all 5 of the African countries that qualified for the FIFA World Cup have announced their list of players for the competition, which gets underway in Qatar on Sunday. Ghana named its final 26-man squad under captain Andrew Ayawu on Monday, but the list was marked by the misfortune of the Black Stars goalkeeper. 2 of them were injured this weekend. Number 1, Joseph Wallacott and his understudy Richard Oforo. More in this report by Africa News.
We finally have the list of players for all 5 of the African countries that qualified for the FIFA World Cup, which gets underway in Qatar later this week. On Monday, Ghana named its final 26-man squad under captain Andre Ayew. There were no big surprises, but the list was marked by the misfortunes of the Black Stars goalkeepers. 2 of them were injured this weekend, number 1 Joseph Wallacott and his understudy Richard Ofori. Inaki Williams, who recently agreed to join the national team, could find himself facing his brother Nico, who will be playing for Spain. The Ghanaians are in Group H and their first match is against Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal before facing South Korea and Uruguay. But before that, they have a last friendly match on Thursday against Switzerland. Tunisia also waited until Monday to present its team. Coach Jalel Kadri will rely on his usual core players, Youssef Msakni, Wabi Kazri and Hannibal Mejbri. The only controversial decision was Kadri's choice of veteran goalkeeper Ayman Matlouti over young Sedki Dibchi, who's hugely popular with the fans. After a final friendly against Iran on Wednesday, the Carthage Eagles will face Denmark, Australia and France in Group D, with the hope of advancing through the group stage for the first time in 6 appearances. And finally, terrible news for Morocco. The Atlas Lions will have to do without one of their best players. Armin Harit sustained a serious knee injury on Sunday while playing for his team Marseille. He ruptured his ligaments and is out of the team for Qatar.
Well, that news item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Farmers in CHILANGA district protest over FISP. SIAVONGA fishermen involved in the death of 6 seventh-day youths slapped with a 1-year jail sentence. ZULAWU disappointed with the recruitment of local government officials. In international news, East Asia summit leaders conclude meeting without agreement. And in sports, all African squads for the FIFA World Cup in Qatar named. Before we go, our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Psalm 119 verse 13 to 15, and it reads, I hate those who are double-minded, but I love your instruction. You are my shelter and my shield. I put my hope in your word. Depart from me, you evil ones, so that I may obey my God's commands. Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.